How do the stars serve us? Genesis 1:14. Let the lights in the sky be signs for the seasons, for days and years. This is timing. We have here a cosmic clock. This is a job of service. But who for? Only mankind studies the stars. Psalm 8 verse 3. King David encourages us to look up at the sky and consider the heavens. Could this encouragement include studies to PhD level and a professorship of astronomy? So, let's follow Genesis 1:14. The constellation which tells us in the UK, the Northern Hemisphere, the season of winter is on its way. This constellation also serves as a pointer to other constellations in the winter. It is very conspicuous. It's a dream for both amateur and professional astronomers. The constellation of Orion. When the Feast of Tabernacles full moon starts to disappear, the sky will become darker. And we should see this all winter. Let's do a whistle-stop tour of Orion. My pointer. The red star, a red giant. I call it Betelgeuse, so I can't pronounce Betelgeuse properly. It's a red giant. If it replaced our sun, it would gobble up the orbit of Mars, and we will become a burnt speck inside Betelgeuse. Also, under present understandings, Betelgeuse is going to blow up. It could blow up tonight, or it could blow up in many thousands of years' time. We don't know. Now, I learned from a recent documentary on television with the Cassini program that engineers do not like these uncertainties, but theoretical astronomers love these uncertainties. Now, let's move down. These three stars here. Job 38, verse 31. Okay, Job, you're so clever. Can you loosen the bands of Orion? And I assume this bands is a poetic version at the time of his belt. These three stars. Well, I do not know of any active research at the moment to see if these stars are actually moving away from each other. And also, Orion was observed in Egypt many thousands of years ago from the pyramids. And these stars of the belt don't appear to have shifted one little bit. We move down to the sword. It's our final stop for this point through. I've got silver paper here, so you can see these 3 points I'm making of these stars. In the Orion sword, there's a nebula called the Giant Nebula. And I've got a picture of it here. It's a giant gas cloud. The Great Nebula of Orion. Amateurs love this because we're supposed to be able to see it with binoculars and the naked eye. I have seen this Orion Nebulae with a telescope with a 12-inch wide mirror. It is magnificent. Inside Orion Nebulae are 4 stars called the trapezium. And using these professional telescopes, astronomers are seeing stars being born out of the gas. It's therefore called the star birth nursery. Lovely. Now, yes, I have I have seen Orion. I have photographed Orion from New Zealand. Yes, it's upside down. So Orion is telling us, are we seeing it for the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? There's some navigation for you. Now, Orion appears to be an expert in multitasking without making a sound. Homework for you. Find the scriptures which say the stars speak knowledge to us silently every night. Anybody listening? To summarise, the stars are our silent servants, a cosmic clock. Stars and gas clouds, they do serve as laboratories in the sky, such as Betelgeuse and the Great Orion Nebulae, for professionals to test their theories of star birth and mathematics. Orion is a map for the sky that points to other constellations. Orion also serves as a direction finder for navigation. Now, to close, I like giving people a job to do. Each night, please go outside in the winter. Has Betelgeuse blown up yet? Can you observe that these stars of the belt are moving away? Joe, can you loosen this belt? Well, so far it hasn't shifted. Can you see on your observation of this belt opening out? And thirdly, have a look with your naked eye. Binoculars is a giveaway. Can you see with your binoculars, then naked eye, the Great Orion Nebulae? Look up and enjoy these silent servants in the night sky. Thank you for your time.
Righty-ho. So, on the left, I was recently at a wedding, and yes, I do dress up and go to a wedding like this if people are wondering. And on the right is one of our local carnivals in St Denis. So, you now know what this is called, the Steadicam. Invented by Garrett Brown. He was a film creator, and his main mission was to have the camera moving like never before. Of course, you have these dollies and tracks, but the problem is they only goes backwards and forwards and not around corners. And since it was worldwide popular, it would replace the handheld shaky camera that you get if you were to run or move. And the Steadicam was essentially keeping the camera steady as you were to move. Simple as that. And can you buy one? Yes and no. You can buy the cheap ones on Amazon or eBay for £50 to £100. I really shouldn't say that that's cheap, but otherwise it is sort of cheap. But they do break very easily. I broke one in less than 2 months. So the importance of Steadicam. As you can see on the pictures, they are one of our modern Steadicams. I'm sure most of you have seen Eurovision Song Contest. Put your hands up if you've probably all seen that. You probably wondered how the camera gets on the stage and off without you seeing it. Well, first of all, they do 3 weeks of pure rehearsals, making sure they get the tightest shots. And the importance of having a Steadicam on Eurovision is to get as close to the singers as possible, making you more engaged to it. And the same goes to Strictly Come Dancing on the picture on the left. It's basically the same principle. If you saw the one on Saturday, you'll notice that there was a very clean shot which lasted about 3 or 4 minutes. That was purely with a Steadicam, so that's what they're great for. So, how does it work? I'm pretty sure you lot are dying to know how this thing works. So then, centre of gravity is by the gimbal, and it's important to have a drop time of 2 seconds. And this is because when I were to shake the camera like this, it stays where it is. And the arm acts like an arm, so when I let go, I can essentially walk around. Like that. So. But before this is all done, it's, as you can see at the back, my cymbal stand, which I got from the loft. I make sure it's perfectly level. And then after that, so when it's perfect level, you know that when you move, it's not going to lean, because you don't want to have a camera that's going to be all over the place like that. You just won't be interested to watch the program. And secondly, with the balance time, there is another procedure for dynamic balancing. Now, because I've got this wire here, it's not an actual Steadicam, just to let you know, because it's a cheap version of one. But because this wire is blocking my gimbal movement of a full 360, I can't exactly do dynamic balancing. So what it does is that essentially I should be able to spin the whole thing around without it leaning. That is the final procedure of how to balance a Steadicam. And the future of Steadicam. Now, you're probably wondering, what are these 2 pictures? They are using electronic gimbals, which is on the left. And they essentially are there for people like you who want to pick up a simple Steadicam, and you can fit a phone and GoPro on it, and the electronic gimbal balances the camera for you. You basically don't have to do anything. So it's a simple version of one of these. They do cost a bit expensive, I have to admit. 400 for one of those, a bit over expensive, but they are popularly used in adverts and things like that. Now, over the years, it was invented from 1976. The top left, Garrett Brown himself, and we have the guy called Rocky. Have any of you seen the film Rocky in America? The famous shot where they go up the stairs, they used the Steadicam. And if you notice very carefully at the top of the stairs, the camera bumps. Now that was because it was filmed in winter, and his camera didn't switch on at all. So they had to use a 12-volt battery and a 6-volt battery to power the camera up. Now at the same time, the director is running up from behind and bumps into him as he gets to the top. And in an interview not long ago, he even admits that if he was my age, he would redo that entire shot. And in the middle, I looked at this YouTube video, and it explains the advanced techniques of a Steadicam. Now it looks like he's holding it up, but I have just realised that he's got a special stand where he's got his arm there hooked to his vest. His monitor is there, you've got the battery, and then you've got your main broadcaster camera here. Your gimbal is right there. So it's similar to, well, I shouldn't even say similar, it's completely different to what I've got. But that is, it's something I looked at for quite a long time, knowing how to control all of these things. Now on the bottom left we have our Eurovision. This is like a slightly sneak peek of what actually goes on. We've got the operator here, but what you don't see is a second operator just on the corner. Now the reason why that is because it's quite difficult for the operator to control the lens. Now the lens is huge, and it costs 30 times more expensive than one of these, so you're looking at £30,000 easily, if more. The reason why they're so expensive, they have a built-in motor on the side, so you can fit in the leads. That way the operator has a remote over here, and then can control that lens, giving you zoom control and focus control. But sometimes that can be very difficult, and so they have a second operator to do that. In the middle, we have I love this guy, he's Nicholas Noel, he's Sweden, and he has done Eurovision, he done one last year. Don't ask me why they keep switching operators each year, I'd like to know that one. But he is a single operator, and he has his remote control just where his hand is there, and he has a lens which costs a lot of money. And we have Stefan on the side here, who is filming the presenter standing right here. There are 3 cameramen filming here, and I don't think he's actually in shot. But this is called Melody Festivalum. It's very similar to Eurovision, and whoever wins that contest goes into Eurovision. And the reason for having 2 operators is because during each song, it's very difficult to have the operator going on time with the music, so you have to be there on dot every single moment. So they have 2 operators, especially to get in time with the music. And you're probably wondering what that is. We'll say that's a Steadicam on steroids. This is Gareth Brown himself, he's probably in his 60s now. He's demonstrating how it works. It is, you like, the world's first mobility crane. The 30-foot cranes that you see where you have the camera flying through the air, he's basically made one of those, but it's now mobile. And it's taken 25 years to get to this stage. So you can imagine, back in those days, how desperate he was to get a crane that can move. It works pretty much the same as a Steadicam, except because the crane comes out to about here, the gimbal, where it normally is now here. So you have to now operate the crane like this, and you have to move around. And the camera also rotates the same as a Steadicam. Now, what I didn't mention was how difficult it is to control this. The reason why these cost so much is because they are very dangerous, and I'm being very serious here. The arm I've seen online can be up to £13,000. That can hold up to about 40 pounds of weight, and there is a good reason for that. The gear is very heavy, so what companies don't want is a consumer who doesn't know anything about Steadicam buying one, and then what will happen is that the whole thing might smack them in the face because the springs are designed to hold such weight. At the same time, the vest, if you don't fit it on properly, it can seriously hurt you as well. The weight has to be properly balanced around the waistline and not the shoulders. This is when you don't want to get fatigue. So when you move, you can basically shoot for 10 hours straight. And they do get paid a lot of money for this, £2,000 just for broadcasting, and they are very specially trained for that. But overall, they are genius piece of kit. I mean, without this, live TV wouldn't be the same. So thank you very much.